think about it and try to change the narrative that's taking place. Because look, the fact of the matter is that there have been some positive things that have taken place. We've also had some bumps in the road, little tiny stuff, but they add up, and as you know, the press try to make it into this big, huge, colossal disaster. And so it goes back and forth and back and forth. And I think Donald Trump came back. President Trump said to his staff, "Hey, let's get on the road. Let's do something really positive. Let's get the momentum back." Great idea, great idea. And so he's out there giving his speech yesterday to a packed airplane hangar, and Trump, President Trump, candidate Trump, businessman Donald Trump, he likes an audience. We all like certain things, right? He likes it. There's nothing wrong with him liking it. He likes it. I like pizza. Can't break it. Can't break the habit, no matter how much I diet. He likes crowds, and he likes touting the size of his crowds. So be it. Why are we gonna blame him for it? You gonna call me out because I like pizza, even though it's not good for me? It's what I like. The press has a love affair with hating on him. So what he does is he says there was 10,000 people, and the press says, it was probably only like 5,000, and they won't show the crowd, right? And this is like the banter back between the two of them. Well, yesterday, a little positive note, there was no question about how many people were there, because the local police department put out a tweet stating there were 9,000 people at his rally. Now, I want you to put into perspective how many people 9,000 is. It's a big crowd. 9,000 people took time out of their Saturday afternoon. Got to think most of these people are either working during the week, they got activities, the weekend comes around. You could do anything on a nice bright day. What are you going to do? Going to go stand in an airline hangar? An airplane hangar? This is what they did. They went out to support the president. In fact, a lot of you have been sending me about all these different marches and upcoming events that are in support of the president, asking me to help promote it. Absolutely, I will, as soon as I look into it a little bit more, see who's actually pushing these events. As long as I could support those people, I will support the events, absolutely, and we'll be publishing stories and articles, and maybe we'll call up some interviews, what name you. But yesterday, 5 o'clock, when he was giving his speech, he was talking about the importance of vetting. He was talking about the importance of keeping Americans safe from refugees coming in that are not vetted correctly, people coming in over with visas that are not vetted correctly. And in doing so, he's a momentum speaker. In fact, in many cases, because I used to give a lot of speeches. I don't do it anymore because the travel and being away from home is just too much. But I gave speeches all the time. I can't tell you how many. And I watched the way he delivers his speech, all of his speeches. And he's not a teleprompter guy. Neither am I. He's a momentum guy. And he talks, and a lot of times, if you were to take the way he talks and actually write it out, you would think he was a babbling fool. Same with yourself, with yours truly. If I sit and I write, the way I write and the way I speak, they never coincide. A lot of times I'll start a sentence, I'll stop that sentence, I'll come off on something else, and then I'll come back full circle. He does the same sort of thing. Politicians usually don't do that. Politicians are so scripted and so plastic and so rehearsed that when you get somebody like a Barack Hussein Obama or a Hillary Clinton going into an interview or giving a speech, it's always teleprompted. It is always rehearsed, and that's why the sentences seem as if they flow on something that you would actually read off a piece of paper. Trump doesn't do that, and that's why sometimes he'll say things that just either slip through or that may lose accuracy, if you will. But if you don't read the comment and you listen to the comment and you see and you take it in the context of which it was trying to be delivered, you realize the fact that he's not trying to pawn off something fake and phony. He's storytelling, not fake storytelling. He's storytelling using his way of delivering a speech. Now, here's the difference, and this is where there's a little slippery slope. He's not a campaigner anymore. He's not a businessman anymore. He's a president. And I think what he will learn over the course of time is that all the things that he's been doing for 70 years, some of them have to change. Rightfully so, unfairly so. But the way he speaks, he has to understand that he can actually move markets. He can actually put countries on guard. He can send shockwaves through the world. He can send the media up in an uproar. What don't we know? Yesterday is a prime example of that. Yesterday he was talking about the importance of vetting, as I was stating. And in speaking about why his executive order, which has been turned down by the courts, stay tuned on that one, why it is that it was so important, he started to list the events, terror attacks, lone wolf attacks, fallen economies, etc., that have taken place around the world, especially over in the European side, where they have just taken in so many people that now they're paying a dear, dear price on so many different levels, economically, culturally, rapes, terror attacks, lone wolf attacks, you name it. So as he's doing that in Trump fashion, he's going into the brain and he's just listing, and he's saying, look what happened to Germany. Take a look at Germany. And he says, and look, just last night, what happened in Sweden. Sweden. Can you believe Sweden? He's doing it, Trump. Now, was there a massive terror attack last night? That's what I was thinking. I see this massive terror attack. Wait a second. We're in the news business. What did I miss? I'm Googling, I'm searching everything or whatever. I'm turning on the news, I'm going to whatever. They all got Trump and I'm trying to find different stuff. I think he was referring to a report that was last night put on Fox News or whatever he was referring to. So what the liberals want to do is say that he's sharing fake information. He's trying to send unsubstantiated fear. No, he's not. He mixed his words a bit. And so if he were to start to be scripted all the time, they would be criticizing him that somebody else is inserting words into his mouth, something that they never held President Barack Hussein Obama accountable for, or Hillary Clinton for that matter. They would assert that to him. And you know what? He doesn't want to be scripted for. He just wants to speak to people. He wants to reach out to them. So, there's a responsibility that we have in the press and the media to report things accurately, but at the same time you can't remove the human element that is injected into these things. And I know there's this shade of gray. He's the president. He needs to be a bit more accurate. So this way the people in Sweden are like, what happened? I don't know what happened last night. What happened last night? And so that's the story. But that's where it comes from. It doesn't come from a place of evil or malice. It doesn't come from a place of trying to sell a narrative so he can push his next executive order. It's not the case at all. The man is passionate about making America great again. Oh, and by the way, the reason why this stuff reads backwards is because that's Facebook. It's taking the image and it's reversing it, for those of you who ask me those silly questions. Anyway, he's doing it out of love for America, concern for America, and knowing the fact, he's privy to information we're not privy to. He gets his briefings and his national security briefings, and he probably knows now what he always suspected back as a campaigner, as a candidate, that the world is a far more dangerous place than any of us actually recognize. And a lot of things that are set to happen actually get caught before they do, thankfully. All right? Now, I told you I wanted to do this a little differently today, and I'm going to go for a couple more minutes. And here's the difference, other than what I've just said. It is hard, even for ourselves here at DML, to not always be blasting negative news. I mean, it's just the world, unfortunately, and especially America, we have become a negative news culture. And you could blame yourself a little bit too. You got to take some responsibility. I'll give you a prime example. When was the last time that you were driving on a highway and actually slowed down from, let's say, 55 or 65 down to 30 or 20 to take a look at the beautiful new tulips that are springing up in the lawn to the side of the highway? Probably never. But how many times you've actually slowed down to look at that horrible car accident? And that's what sells. Unfortunately, whether that's, and you know what? If we would all stop and take a look at the tulips and the roses and smell the roses a little bit more, we'd probably be a lot happier of a society. But the news, there's a statement in the news. There's an old saying: if it bleeds, it leads. And unfortunately, those titles usually get a bigger response. So, that said, what I wanted to do today, I can sit here and tell you about the Republican New York guy who told Trump to stop with the tweeting and focus more on policy. And I can sit here and tell you about all this other different stuff. But instead, I'm going to just take a couple of seconds here and tell you some of the good things that Donald J. Trump did this week to try to make America great again, aside from just having his rally. And I wrote them down. First of all, as I've already told you, 9,000 people showed up to support a man 30 days in his presidency on a Saturday afternoon. That is quite impressive. But earlier in the week, he signed Resolution 38. It is it changes what was an anti-coal legislation. So what he's trying to do is he's trying to spur back the energy here in America. Try to make it so this way we could be energy reliant on ourselves and not on foreign countries. He actually did another thing. He stopped a regulation that was put in against energy companies by Dodd-Frank. He changed that. And what he's trying to do, and I love this because this was one of the things that I was pushing 2 years ago when I was exploring. I think one of the, when you look at, economies are all cyclical, meaning they have their ups and they have their downs. Every president obviously takes credit for the ups, and he passes the blame on the other president for the downs. But the fact of the matter is, yes, that each president can do things to make the economy better and to make the economy worse, but economies are by and large cyclical. They have to go through this cycle. That said, there are certain things that can really help drive an economy, that can sort of bring that next wave of growth to an economy. The last big one, if you will, was the internet. Excuse me, right? Back in the 90s, we had the big internet boom, and we had the advent of places like Amazon and YouTube and Yahoo and Google, and all these things came up, and the ability to use the internet as a way of communication, but also to do transactions, business to business, business to consumer, consumer to consumer, right? eBay, all different things like that. That was the last boom, and we're still benefiting greatly from that boom. Could you imagine if we didn't have the internet today, right? So, this isn't something that's been around for 100 years. This was a boom in America. I personally feel one of the greatest new booms that we can have is in the energy sector. I really do. I really do. First of all, I can't tell you how many sour events take place overseas because of oil. If we were to be able to be more energy sufficient ourselves, just reliant on ourselves, self-sufficient, a lot of the crap that we have to deal with over there would go away. So I think that is a place for unbelievable, untapped growth. And I love seeing him do something like this. Now, here's the thing. That's a boring topic, okay? That's like stopping to look at the tulips. And so that's why you're not going to see a whole bunch of articles written about that. That's why you're not going to see 2 segments on Fox News about that. That's why you're not going to see CNN cover it at all, because it's a sleeper. It's a channel changer. Well, one of the things that we're going to do with our new shows as they start to launch, and I think we're probably about 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks away from when we have the first one with Harlan and myself, which is going to be broadcast every single night, Monday to Friday, at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And then after that, it stays on there. And we figure we'll get in just as O'Reilly starts to get really boring and full of himself, and just before Tucker Carlson comes on. So it's going to be a half-hour show, the most powerful half hour there is on television, on the internet, you name it. But what we're going to do is we're going to take time each night to give you what is happening positive in this country. So this way you can get something positive to chew on. All right? Now, that said, moving on. Another thing that didn't get what it should have gotten in terms of headlines. You know, the president cares a lot about women. Yeah, he's been married a few times. Yeah, he got caught with the not so polite comment on the Billy Bush bus. But you know what? Any guy, or any gal for that matter, who has never said anything that they would like to put back into their mouth, all right, step forward. All right, we've all said things that we wish we didn't say. We've all said things that have probably gone a little bit past pushing the envelope over the course of time. The difference being is that we're not all celebrities who have a microphone on us at 24/7. All right, so let's look at things on even ground, shall we? But if you get past that, President Trump, if you really look into his past, he has always been an advocate for women. He has hired tons of women in the Trump organization. The way he treats his daughters, the way that he treats Kellyanne Conway. I mean, you can just blatantly see that this man treats women on even playing fields as he does men. All right? You talk to somebody who knows him, somebody who works for him. I remember when I had the Newsmax program, twice I interviewed a woman from Florida who had worked for him in the real estate division. She was high up, and she said, he's the best man I've ever worked for. You know, that's a strong statement from somebody. And she says, I've had a bunch of different jobs. He's the best I've ever worked for, the most fair person I've ever worked for. Even the other day, when Kellyanne Conway sort of ran into a brick wall, if you will, because she was trying to support Ivanka Trump, what wound up happening was that she took this backlash because she actually, according to some people, violated an ethics rule. And she wasn't trying to do it in a nasty way. She wasn't trying to be dishonest. She wasn't trying to break rules and say, I can do whatever I want. She was just trying to help somebody who was down. And that was it, who was unfairly getting kicked to the ground. Well, in an interview that she had with Martha McCallum on Fox News, she was asked about that, and she didn't want to give any comments about it. You know, she was probably advised, just let it go. But she did go out of her way to say one thing, and she said, I wish all women would have the sort of boss that I have, because the way he treated me today with what was going on was absolutely amazing. Okay, you know what? Nobody's paying her to say that. And I think Kellyanne Conway has enough pride to where she's not going to get up there and say something she doesn't believe. So that said, this week the president held what was called I want to get it right, a women's business roundtable for female entrepreneurs to try to make new initiatives and to make sure that the red tape and the garbage and the hurdles that women may have to go through to try to become entrepreneurs here in the U.S., that it's an easier thing, it's an easier task, that there are more opportunities, more money available to female entrepreneurs who want to go out there, start businesses, and create jobs for fellow Americans. This is what he did, okay? He held this roundtable, and not only that, when he had Trudeau, Prime Minister Trudeau, come in from Canada, they did the same thing. They discussed the same thing about, hey, how can we do a joint partnership of some sort where we're helping empower women? And they came up with this U.S. Council for Women. It's a joint effort between Canada and U.S. for women. An entire thing, so this way you, the female, if you are a female, can get out there and get a business started easier than maybe you could yesterday or underneath Barack Hussein Obama, who was completely anti-business, anti-entrepreneur. If you remember, he actually told people who built their own businesses, you didn't build that. Trump would never say such sort of things. And then, maybe the most important thing he did this week is he met with Benjamin Netanyahu from Israel, a country who forever has been our ally, a country who is forever looking over its shoulders, both sides, everywhere, 360 days. They never sleep, okay, because they are surrounded by people who want to wipe them off the face of the earth. And forever they have known that they could sleep a little bit easier maybe at night, that they could go through their day a little bit safer, because they know that they have the strongest military and the most advanced country in the world protecting them, helping to protect them against Islamic terrorists who are just absolutely insane and at any given moment, would wipe them off the face of the earth, not thinking twice about what that actually means. Well, President Barack Hussein Obama made Israel feel as if they were standing alone. He made them feel as if they were no longer cared for in the way that we had always cared about them. And so what Donald J. Trump, president, that I am very, very proud to have voted for, what he did this week was he met with Benjamin Netanyahu and he expressed to them clearly that we are behind Israel and that we want to do everything we possibly can, not only to be a great ally, but also to try to help bring, finally, maybe, peace to the Middle East when it comes to Israel and what goes on with Palestine. That is encouraging. That is positive news. That is leadership. These things that I just read out to you here off the back of an envelope, I really wish that the press would take more time to focus on these things and the importance of which they stand. The basis for making America great again and the world a more safer place. I really wish they would focus on that sort of thing. And if I could one more time say to President Trump, I really wish that you would completely focus on these things and let these other nonsense stuff that they try to trip you up with, let them just try to do it. They throw out the bait, don't bite. Let's get those tweets permanently stuck on these sort of issues. And if we do, it will be a great, great thing. And then the last thing I want to say is it does bring up a negative highlight, but I want to change it into a positive. The West Palm Police and the Secret Service have finally found out who it was who threw a wooden block and a rock the size of a baseball at President Trump's motorcade. I think it was on Friday. And it turns out to be that it was a young middle school student and a couple of his friends. There used to be an incredible amount of respect for the President of the United States, whoever that president was. I remember in my home, my father was a U.S. Marine, still is. Once a Marine, always a Marine, right? And even though we were a conservative family, no matter who the president was, my father always said we had to respect the presidency. We had to respect the president. That we could disagree with him all we want, but that when the president was there, regardless of what it was, he was going to salute. When the president spoke, you were going to listen. When the president drove by, you were going to acknowledge. You didn't have to agree with the person. You didn't have to like the person, but you had to respect the person. Unfortunately, our schools and many parents in this country have really lost its way. And people forget that although we can agree to disagree, we are on the same team. And there is such an important message to be shared with your children and with your students that you have to hold respect for that president. You do not throw rocks, bricks, and wood pieces at anybody, let alone the president. And if more people were to actually step up and take the time to say that to whatever kid is standing there, I don't even care if it's not your own, you just to say it, because it needs to be said. It needs to be said. It's a sad time in America when we have children throwing objects with the intent to harm at the motorcade of our president. And so I hope that through tough love and through President Trump staying positive, that eventually this time that seems sort of confusing and dark and I just can't seem to get it together, I'm hoping this is the hard work. This is the beginning of something that eventually is going to lead into a country that sort of comes together, and these sort of things are no longer making headway on websites like mine and Fox and everybody else. So anyway, that being said, I'm going to call it short. All right, I'm going to take a little time today. Going to go out and play basketball with my daughter. Till tomorrow. I don't know if it will be myself or Harlan. I know it won't be both because he's going to be in New York. I'm going to be at the estate. Until tomorrow. And I have to say thank you. Yesterday, after the walk and talk, and also I posted up online pictures of some of the things that we have purchased for the new place, the new studio. Our donations yesterday hit a new high, and it's fantastic because we still have so much more to get, so much more to buy. So I appreciate everybody who went to DennisMichaelLynch.com/donate and donated. We got some donations yesterday up to $500. Thank you very much. Also, everybody who continues to download the app, thank you as well. If you want to get the app, you go to the iOS store or you go to the Google Play Store and you search for Dennis Michael Lynch and you download it. It's for free. Oh, and also my daughter said, Dad, you don't push my Instagram thing anymore. So I have to be good to my daughter. My daughter runs a Instagram page called DML is my dad, and she puts up all the pictures that, I don't know, that I would never put up. So anyway, or sometimes she puts up things that she's grabbing from our website or whatever, and she thinks that you'd be interested or maybe you missed. So anyway, if you get a chance to give that a look and a like, I appreciate it. And please share. The more you share these videos, the more they get watched. The more they get watched, the more people learn, and they see that us people here who do support our president, we're not so crazy. We just want to make America great again. All right? I wish I could make this. I go like this. Can you read it the right way? I don't know. Woo! Yeah, we need a haircut. Barber's closed on Sunday. Sooner or later. Maybe I'll cut it myself. All right. May God bless you. May God bless our troops. May God bless the United States of America. And may God help us all make America